Bang bang Niner gang, what's up, faithful? It's your boy Niner Beto with my boy Mike from Florida, Mike himself, coming to you with the Niner Sickness podcast show, where we're going to talk about what took place today involving Eric Armstead and DeForest Buckner. Stay tuned. But before we proceed, make sure you follow us on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the a notification bell so that you will be notified each and every time we go live here on YouTube and on Facebook. What's going on? What's up, Richard? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Let me introduce my boy that needs no introduction, for we all know who he is. Florida Mike himself. What's up, brother?
What's going on, my brother? How you feeling?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited. I did a show earlier today, and I can do another one with you tonight, man. It's just there's a lot of mixed emotions with Niner fans about the situation with DeForest Buckner. Oh, there's Kimo. What's up, Kimo? Hold on. Go ahead and talk to the audience while I bring in Kimo in, brother.
Hey, man, first and foremost, man, I wanted to give a big shout out to all the San Francisco and the Bay Area people. Man, I heard that they're quarantining and shutting everything down out there, man. So, man, y'all stay strong. Y'all stay up. And when I come from Florida all the way to San Francisco, we're going to do it big, man.
That's right. Hey, Kimo, what's up, brother? Can you hear everybody?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
There you
Yes, we
go.
can.
Hey,
on,
what's
brother.
up? Thanks for the invite, guys. This is cool. I get to finally be on the other side with you guys and talk my favorite subject, Niner football.
Hey,
Bang,
man.
bang.
Hopefully it won't be your last, man. It'll be your first and not your last, and we'll continue to do more. What's up,
All
Carl
right.
Benson? Welcome, brother. Diggs is gone. Y'all have Hall of Fame brother. I know I heard something about Niners signing stuff on Diggs. I don't know how clear that is, but my boy Kyle Benson, he's a Viking fan, so he's telling us clarify that, Benson. Did we sign him, or he just let us sign him with someone else? What's up, Daniel Cantu? And welcome, Kimo man. I'm glad to have you on the show. So, real quick, I just want you, since you're the first time here as live guest, what's your thoughts on today's trade with DeForest Buckner as a business perspective?
Well, I have to tell you, this is where I got to give a shout out to all you guys, especially you, Beto, Florida Mike, my brother. You're all my brothers, but especially listening to the Boston hater himself talking about really in detail what that financial side of it is, and it really makes it really challenging how the game is, and it's more than X's and O's now. Um, I was talking to Mike earlier today, and I just told him I had a funny feeling there was going to be a big trade, and then soon enough he tells me about what happened to Buckner today, and I know there are a lot of Niner faithful, Niner gang out there that's upset about the trade. And I can understand it. I love Buckner. Man, he was a beast. He broke the line easy. He was Aaron Rodgers' worst nightmare this year. But I can also see the financial aspect. $20 million. Not saying he's not worth it, because by far he is worth it. No question about it. But I could see it from the aspect of, do we want to risk everything else? I mean, he's a great player, and you brought up the point earlier in your broadcast that he's just not a game changer. Now, George Kittle, game changer. On the defensive end, I think D Ford is a game changer. Um, so I thought the trade was good, but to be honest, when I was talking to Mike about this earlier, uh, I was thinking something, and I'm still kind of thinking it. And I know Niner fans aren't going to like me when I say this, but I really do believe that until something really more solid happens, there's always that chance that even though we signed Armstead, I originally thought that the Niners were going to do what they did to Buckner to Armstead, but I was wrong, and but I still have a feeling that there's a big trade coming involving our team, and I haven't pinpointed it yet, but I don't know. And I told Mike, the last time I got a feeling like this, it was in basketball. It was in 1992 when the Phoenix Suns, who happens to be my favorite basketball team. Sorry, Warrior fans, but
It's okay. I'm a Laker fan, so that's all right. Go ahead.
But that was when in '92 they made the big trade that we sent 3 of the starting players from last year's starting 5, and we got Charles Barkley in the deal. And that's how I feel right now. That there is just one more trade that's going to happen. It's going to be, it may not be mega, but it's going to be big. And one thing that I honestly do like about Lynch, along with Coach Shanahan, they keep you guessing. And that's what I love about it, because this year they kept me guessing all year, and I loved it. To me, when they keep you guessing, that means something exciting is going to happen. Now, sometimes it goes great, sometimes it doesn't go so great, but it's I just get that feeling that the best is yet to come. I don't think that Lynch, especially Lynch, is going to put us in a position where, after all that we did this last season, I just think that they really want to make sure that we go in that positive direction, and especially when it comes to maintaining this destructive defense that we've had all year. I call it the Niner tidal wave, because they kept attacking in waves. You just didn't see it coming, and by the time you did, of course, we saw the result. But
Okay.
I have a feeling there's at least another trade coming. I can't say whether it's going to be big, but I'm paying attention, especially because I know that it's going to impact the draft. Like let's be honest, that Hopkins trade to Arizona, that opened a lot of eyes today. You know, I
Yeah,
even had to tell Mike, I had to tip my hat off to the little Redbirds, because looks like they got somebody that actually understands the game enough. You go after what's a great players if you get a chance. And I'm not saying that Hopkins is a Jerry Rice, because no comparison, but he's a very good receiver, no question, if he stays healthy. And that's what I'm paying attention for. Is I'm one of those. I want to see Sanders get re-signed, but if we can't get what he asked for, then I understand the business. But me, I'm just I'm just very excited, because I really think our team's going to be back in the Super Bowl. And I think this time, after what happened with 54, I know everybody has their beliefs. I know a lot of Niner fans screamed about the referees. I just put it down to 2 big plays, and this is just my humble opinion. But I go back to that 3rd and 16, that pass to Tyreek Hill, and then after that, that second
um,
interception that Mahomes got, that we just, something we didn't do hardly is that we always seem to capitalize, especially when you get one turnover.
mhm.
Our defense always had the tendency, once you get that second turnover, you score something. And whether it would have been touchdown or field goal, I think it would have really helped, especially with 6 minutes left. And other than that, I just say these trades that are happening right now, they're almost each one of them is a blockbuster. So stay tuned, because I'm excited even more with the draft. Draft day is going to be something. And
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
interrupt you. Kim, I'm gonna interrupt you for a minute.
okay,
I can see your excitement. I can see your fire, brother, and I can see your going, brother. But we're gonna break it up in segments here. But I love your fire, man. Keep that fire going, man. And I know, there's so much to talk about. But I do want to let Mike just come in here real quick and give his thoughts on the trade himself, and then we'll break it, but we'll go back and forth. But I can see your excitement, and it's an honor to have you, brother.
oh, thank you,
Nonetheless,
thank you. I feel honored. I'm
no
big time
worries,
honored.
no worries, brother. Mike, so give me your thoughts on the trade and your perspective from a fan base and the business side.
Yo. So first and foremost, man, big shout out to the Orlando Niner Empire chapter down here in Central Florida, and big shout out to the German Niner Empire chapter all the way up in Deutschland. And big shout out to my boy Chemo, man. Glad you came on and joined us, man. So yeah, man, big shout out to you too, Beto. My bro was on the shows, and everybody in San Francisco for sure, and Niner fans worldwide. So let's get into it, man. So my initial thoughts on DeForest Buckner, I knew something was coming. I mean, obviously, salary cap is going to affect every single team in the league. Everybody has to deal with it. You got to make a decision on who stays, who goes. And the Niners obviously felt he was asking for way too much. So I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm a little different than everybody. You know what I'm saying? As usual. Um, when I first heard the initial news, I actually showed it to Kimo because we was talking about it, like he said earlier today, and he caught it in advance that was a big blockbuster trade is gonna happen. So when Buckner hit, as soon as he said that, like literally 10 minutes, I got a notification about Buckner. So I said, okay, as a fan, honestly, I moved on quick. And I'm gonna tell you why. I understand the business side of this. I understand that every year, there's a cap. Every year, there's a player who has to go, and you got to make room. So I try my best to not get attached to any players because before the salary cap, I could get attached to a Jerry Rice who's going to be there for a long time, or a Steve Young, you know, these kind of guys. But once the salary cap came in around the mid '90s after we won our Super Bowl against the Chargers, it was kind of hard to get attached to a guy because of business like this. So if we got over Frank Gore, we can get over DeForest Buckner eventually. It might take some time for some other people, but for me, I move on just as quick as the news came, as quick as it goes. I value him. I appreciate what he's done. But at the end of the day, he's a coach now. I'm focused on San Francisco. So now I just want to see what we do going forward. I think right now, the initial reaction as a fan, people are going to be sad. That's expected because we saw this guy, we drafted him. He was with us for a little while. We just had lost an emotional Super Bowl, and we felt like, damn, we want to get one more shot back at with him. But when you look at it from a business side, it supersedes all that, and that's why I can move on so quick because I understand the business. So I don't want to. I would love to have him, but at the end of the day, I love to have George Kittle on payday.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I said earlier, and I mentioned to you earlier, my thoughts on that is DeForest Buckner definitely is an elite player, a player that is top three, top five defensive tackle, someone that you doesn't come off very often. But when you talk about Kittle, that guy's a game changer. Totally different from elite. Elite is someone that is great and makes other around them, but a game changer like George Kittle is someone that you definitely want to tie down. And if you want to put any money, you want to put it towards Kittle. Um, from a business standpoint, what I like about it, like I told you earlier, we only spent 5.8 or 5.6 million towards the salary cap signing Eric Armstead. So we didn't take a big hit towards the salary cap. We gained 12 million from the Forrest Buckner trade. Plus, we got a top 13. And I mentioned this to you guys earlier. A lot of people are like, "Wow, but we got rid of DeForest Buckner, and who's going to fill in? Is DJ Jones going to be able to fill in? Ronald Blair?" And I'm like, "Listen, we can draft a receiver at 13, a much needed Julio Jones type of receiver, or we can drop a D tackle, that kid Darren Brown out of Auburn. That guy, that D tackle, if you haven't seen film on him, Derek Brown out of Auburn, that guy is special, and that guy can come in and fill in for for DeForest Buckner right away. And if you look at it, I love the thoughts of Kyle Shanahan. We had this guy, we brought this guy in. This guy was on our team. He went through the 4 years. We were able to trade him for a first. If we pick up another player that contributes to the team, then we didn't really lose that much on DeForest Buckner. I know everybody falls in love with him personally as a player, and you get emotionally tied. You wear his number and 99, and that's all good. We are fans. That's what we do. But you got to always see what's better for the team in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
If we would have given him 21 million, it's not 20, it was 21 million that he got from the Colts. It would have been 21 million, and we would have traded Armstead. We would have got maybe a 3 compensatory pick from the NFL in the draft. Okay, but now we have Eric Armstead that can play 2 positions at 17 and a first round pick at 13. If you look at it from that standpoint, which one is better? 17 million, Eric Armstead, and a first rounder, or 21 million DeForest Buckner and a third rounder? It makes sense to let go of Buckner go. I know a lot of people don't want that.
Right there.
Yeah, and I know people are like, yes, he's going to make a big difference. We're going to feel it in the defense, but we have enough players on our defense. Nick Bosa, upcoming rookie. We have D Ford. It's going to be pretty better. We have Eric Armstead now, and then we have a rotational, and whoever we put in that spot, even if we rotate DJ Jones and Sheldon Day, we can get 4 or 5 sacks from those two guys rotationally. I think we can.
And don't forget Mr. Alexander right there. He's in the heart of it too.
Yeah. And if we have 3 good linebackers, and then we take care of the back end a little bit, then we're good to go. So if we focus on offense and we get that Julio Jones type of receiver like Jerry Jude from Alabama, that kid is special. He's a run runner. He separates. You know what I mean? He reminds me of a Deebo Samuel. The way, imagine having 2 Deebo Samuels on the field for Jimmy Garoppolo, and then you have our tight end George Kittle, and then you have hopefully Kinder Bourne if he signs, and then you have the running game. Our offensive is going to be very, very explosive, and I even though we're going to fill the spot of DeForest Buckner. But he did digress. I know he took a lot of double coverage, guys. I know that he was kind of the cowboy. What's his name? Smith, Justin Smith type of player. But he had last year he had 12 sacks with no help. This year we added D Ford and Nick Bosa, and he only went 7.5 sacks. He digressed. Look at Eric Armstead. He had nothing, and when we added help, he went up. He got 10 sacks. So if you look at it that way too, Eric Armstead, to me, shows the upside over DeForest Buckner based on the additions that we added last year. So that's my point on that. So, from that point, I'm okay. And plus, we save money because there's no way we can. And a lot of Niner fans are like, well, can't we sign them both? No, you couldn't. Not with the finance and the cap. And that's something too much money. And people want that. And need to understand that people are like, well, why don't we get rid of Eric Armstead and sign DeForest? But DeForest asked for too much. Eric Armstead and Eric Armstead is versatile. You can use him as a D tackle or a defensive end. So with that said, I want to keep on. If you can keep it into a short bit, what do you think we should do with the number 13 spot? Do you think we should go after receiver, corner, trade down, or trade up?
And to me, I can't get a definite answer because to me it all depends on. You got to look at what we got as far as the 2 main guys that I think there's going to be key free agents to re-sign, Sanders and Jimmy Ward. If the Niners feel that maybe it's time to let go of Jimmy Ward, which I don't know, that's kind of tough for me. Then I say, if there is somebody that's going to be part of this draft that's going to be almost to a point of a game changer, then go for defense on the early pick. And then maybe with the 31, you keep both picks, and like I said earlier, maybe go after a defensive player, maybe in the secondary if you can't keep Jimmy Ward or he decides he wants to go elsewhere or you let him walk. And then, on the 31st pick, maybe go after offensive line. Because I think that, even though a lot of the experts say we should go after a wide receiver, I think that, one, strengthening that line so, our quarterback can prove to the world even more why he's getting better and better after his first full year as a starter. I think, get a big ugly, as I call him, a big ugly offensive lineman that's just big, fast, nasty, can slap people around or, do what big uglies do on that line. When I played high school football, I was on the defensive side, but I just love how the linemen just, they're the beast inside. They make the game where it's at. So I'm hoping maybe they go defense on the 13th pick. But if there is somebody like the kid from Alabama, as you mentioned, he is special. Go after him if he is there. It's one of those you go after him. But if not, I like to see him try to get defense first. Try to address that secondary so we don't hear the criticisms on that. But then try to go after offense. Give Jimmy even more so we don't hear any. I don't know about you guys, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of changing subject here, but I really get mad when they really put down our quarterback. And I love Jimmy G. I think he was the best thing that could have happened to us. I think him getting traded to us, you know. But other than that, that's where I would go, Beto. Is I would
Okay.
go defense first, and then maybe offensive line in that 31st pick. That's if depending upon our free agents and any trades that could and eventually may happen.
Okay. With that said, what direction would you go, Mike, with that 13 overall pick? Would you go receiver? Same question. Receiver, corner, guard, trade up or trade down? In your thoughts?
Well, first I wanted to say real quick, if I may, about the DeForest Buckner emotional attachment that a lot of fans will have. That's certainly understandable. And like I said earlier, I'm a business minded person, so I don't get attached, to be honest with you, with anybody. But the reality is, I remember when we lost Reuben Foster, and even though Reuben Foster didn't give us the type of contribution that we liked that DeForest Buckner gave, people were emotionally attached to him because of his potential, because of the presence that they perceived that he would have had. But when he left, we were like, oh, we're gonna have a hole. Not we in this panel, but a lot of Niner fans were like, we're gonna have a hole in our defense, man. We can't replace him, blah blah blah, like instantly. Well, here comes Dre Greenlaw. No said.
Come on now.
So again, let's have faith in what we're doing here. We were all brick by brick, and now that Buckner's gone, it's oh man, we can't replace, we can't do this. The funny thing is, man, you don't have to replace that same exact production. You can get 2 or 3 guys on that line that can get the same exact type of production across the board. So if one guy gets 2 sacks, another gets 3, another gets 2, you can have the same amount of sacks. You see what I'm saying? So as far as the draft goes, I really don't have an opinion on what we should get. I mean, a particular player, but I will say I have a position of need that I would like to see. Um, you know, as every year with departures and free agent acquisitions, there's always a need in damn near every position except quarterback if you have your franchise. So you can always upgrade. But the question is, what is the position that we need to upgrade the most? I value offensive line. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not saying go 13 pick offensive line. I'm just saying that's the position that I value. I want to see Jimmy Garoppolo get the best maximum protection because I feel like with an elite O line, I feel like our defense is good enough to play anybody. But I feel like that O line, we can put up more points. Garoppolo could have better time to be more effective in the pass game than the past year if we get a better secure line, at that guard or whatever. So that I'm looking at position needs, not an individual player. Whoever is the best for our system that our scouts see fit, I'm all with it.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I agree. And
Mm.
then somebody made a comment earlier that Armstead is not better than DeForest Buckner, and I'm not saying that he is better than DeForest Buckner by any chance. DeForest Buckner is a better player, in my opinion, than Armstead, but we're looking about the finances part. We're looking at what's more economical, what helps the team better, what's more friendly for the team. Um, and Aaron Armstead is that it for us? I mean, someone also said that we could assign him to the tag and then trade him for a number 2 pick. But don't you think that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan searched out offers from the other teams? I'm pretty sure that it's easy for us to say they should do this, they should have done this, but that necessarily comply to what they actually try to do. They
They
talked to
probably
teams.
already did that.
Yeah, they probably try to get to a lot of teams. They try to get a second round or something better for Eric Armstead, and they were not able to. I mean,
Yeah.
because you guys, the Niner fans here, say Buckner's better. That's why the Niners felt that they can get more value out of him on a trade than they could from Eric Armstead, which they did. They got a number 1 overall, 13th spot. Now, if we pick at 13 and we get a home run pick, 2 years from now, we're not going to be talking about this any longer. But if we don't, then it's going to be a whole different conversation. But nevertheless, some people say, well, John Lynch better draft right. Well, I like what John Lynch did today as a GM. I like the trade. If he hits with the 13th overall pick, that's great. Obviously, that's what we want. But if he doesn't, it doesn't change that he still make the right move, trading DeForest Buckner for number 1 pick. It doesn't
Exactly.
dictate.
Exactly.
It
Trust
doesn't.
the process.
Yeah, trust. Hopefully they pick the right player, but they're trying to figure out the money. Because remember, guys, they're trying to sign Kittle, and Kittle's going to break the bank. Kittle will break the bank.
That's because he's the best tight end in football right now.
Exactly, and we need to set him up, and then you're going to have Deebo Samuel. You're going to have a lot of players coming up. You're going to have Nick Bosa that's going to have to be signed. So you got to look at the long term. And as good as D tackles are, you could replace D tackles more better than you can replace rushers. A lot of people told me, well, why didn't they trade D Ford over DeForest Buckner? But it's hard to get a good pass rusher. And I'd rather keep D Ford over Buckner if I had to choose between them.
Well, it's like you said earlier, Beto. But you use Kittle. Kittle is a game changer. Well, D Ford, just like Quan Alexander, in my mind, they're game changers because where they're positioned, they set the pace of that defense and how it goes. Maybe not the direction always, but they're the ones that pretty much will open up and set up the Buckners and the Armsteads and even the Bosas. But Bosa is what I call a hybrid. So, Bosa is just a monster that finds his own path no matter where you put him. And as I told my brother who's a fan of another team, shame on him, but when you look at it from a financial perspective, you look at what Armstead signed for, which was 5 years, 85, and then Buckner signed for $100+ million contract. There's the difference right there. And we all understand the business aspect that they get at least maybe 1, maybe 2 big paydays in your entire career. So it just would have been too expensive, and then we probably would have been on the short end. And then there was a chance that you don't want to risk it for the team that way. And that's what trust the process, just like you're saying. And that's what Niner fans need to understand. I see these guys out there, these star players, no question about it. But can they work with the Niner system? Can they be what that locker room needs them to be? And what we got right now in that locker room, that's what's key. I mean, when it gets down to it, it's always going to get back down to X's and O's. But with finances, that's what makes it difficult.
Exactly. And then to add the question, I'll have Mike answer this question. I want Mike's perspective, and then I'll ask Kimo to do it as well. But Danny Navarro says we should have never messed with our D line. It was up and coming. You're only supposed to strengthen and upgrade by adding depth. But please explain to Danny that in a fantasy world or on Xbox, you can keep a good D line without money. But in the real world, it's hard to do that with a salary cap. With a salary cap, it's hard to keep a good line together, especially for you're not going to have a $150 million D line, on the front. So, Mike, if you could answer that question to Dan in your perspective, that would be great.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, what's up, Danny? Big shout out. Thanks for tuning in, by the way.
Yes.
The big thing is, Danny, that's challenging is like Beto said with salary cap. Unfortunately, had we retained Buckner and not mess with the D line at all, then what you're saying, I mean, this is how I perceive it. You're saying the guys that got hurt down the stretch, like the DJ Jones and the other D linemen that we had that got injured, you're not confident in their ability to grow. You're not confident that you also got to factor in how you're going to pay your future players who need to get paid big. So if DeForest Buckner's demanding a big paycheck, from what I hear, so is George Kittle's going to demand a big paycheck as well. With the salary cap, and then we have guys that we need to fill other voids and take care of, it's going to be challenging to pay all those guys all that big money and retain them. It's just not going to happen. So somebody has to go. It's that simple. And the 49ers saw in the best interest long term to keep stability going, to let DeForest Buckner go now. Otherwise, if you retain him, how are you going to pay George Kittle and other guys that are up and coming? And we also got to consider that we have players that down the road that could be future superstars, if you will, in this league, like a Debo Samuel, for example, that we got to prepare and anticipate for. You know what I mean, down the road. So I think at the end of the day, we have enough depth on our defensive line to be okay. It ain't like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, DeForest Buckner, huge loss, granted. But it's not like our D line is just going to go from like an A to an F off of one guy. You know what I mean? Like, we're still going to get pressure. We're still going to be good. And keep in mind, D4 didn't play majority of the season. So if he gets his surgery and he's healthy, his presence will be out there a lot longer, a lot more during the season, assuming he stays healthy. So we got to consider all those little things. You know what I mean? But let's go, man. We at this point, we could sit here and talk about DeForest Buckner all day, or we can move forward like we're gonna have to move forward and focus on what we need to do to make this a Super Bowl team. And that's
very,
how
very good point, Mike. And I like what George Dunlop said, and I kept this comment up there. I love it. It's always about business. If you cannot sign them, at least get something for them, and that's a business mentality. Right. If we would have signed them for this year for the 2020, we would not be able to keep them after 2021, and we would have somebody else would have paid him that money, and he probably would have been valued at more money, and we would have lost him and got nothing for him. Exactly. At least we got a number one draft pick high. You got to remember, we're at 13, only 3 spots out of the top 10 on the draft. Okay, now we have capital. Now we can either move up or down and build more capital with this, and and it opens up money also for us to be able to bring maybe sign Emmanuel Sanders if people want signed, or sign a Jimmy Ward. Now we can do this because we were able to move someone like DeForest Buckner. So I understand those that love DeForest Buckner. I love him. I have his jersey. I wish him well. I wish him the best next year with the Colts. But in the real world, would I like to keep them all? Yes. But we need to understand that that's not always possible. You got to look at what the long term. We don't want to make the mistake that the Rams did. Exactly. Bringing all these high payer, playing everybody, and then look at what the Rams are now. They're on the fall. John Lynch and the Kyle Shanahan is not only thinking about this year, but years to come, and they're not going to mortgage the future based on a certain player. And a lot of people, you may not like the Patriots and Belichick, but that's one thing I respect. They don't care who you are in the name prospect. They're looking always at what they can do for the team. And so, in that perspective, I do like the idea that we got at least a 13 overall pick for DeForest Buckner, and we're able to move forward. Now, with that said, gentlemen, it's done. It's a done deal. DeForest Buckner, whether you like it or not, he is gone, and we're moving on. So now let's talk, guys. Let's talk. Okay, now what can we do to make this team better? How can we make this team better? Can we bring a corner in free agency? Can we bring a receiver in free agency? Should we address it in the draft? What is it, or what can we do to make this team better? Because whether you like it or not, DeForest Buckner, he has been traded. So if you agree with John Lynch or not, that's really up to you. But the reality of it is that he's no longer part of the 49ers. Eric Armstead is. So now what do we do? Are you guys comfortable with keeping DJ Jones and the replacement of DeForest Buckner? Or do you feel that we should go after someone and bring someone from either the drafting or free agency to put in that spot? I'll go ahead and ask Kimo, and then I'll ask Mike.
Well, I think we should just keep our options open, especially with draft time coming. I think keep the options open. And I think they've already gone through the process, just like they did with eventually what happened to DeForest Buckner and with Armstead. I think we just try to keep our options open. We look to see what's available. Try to see if it will work and be viable. Because I know Boston hater, but he really he wants viability out of it, which is true. You should have it. But I don't think we should just look at somebody and say, oh, let's go after him, and then it doesn't work because there's so many things that go along with it. It's more than just the X's and O's, like with the finance part of it. We got to look for somebody that's going to work with the system, that is going to like what Coach Kyle brings as the coach and what he's established, and then just go from there. So I say for now, right now, unless they already got something, and I got a feeling they do, um, just keep the options open and just see what's available because the primary eventually we got the best all around tight end in football. We got to keep him happy. I know he's happy here as far as I can see, and that's primary. Eventually, either this year or next year, we got to that's the key part is George Hill and what we can do and what we should be able to do, and I'm sure they're already thinking about that. So I just say keep our options open. Take the time and follow the process. Just believe it and follow it because look where it's gotten us this year, 13-3. Need I say more? Just trust that process, and I trust the guys we got. I like John Lynch. I like Coach Shanahan. No matter what the criticism is, and just keep our valuables open, keep the options open, and just when if they feel that they got the inside track on it, go for it. But just especially like I said, what happened today. DeForest Buckner is a big trade too. But look what happened in Arizona. We got to keep tabs on our opponents in the division because now we are really the standard right now. We're the defending NFC champions. Everybody's going to be going after us, and we welcome the challenge, of course. But we got to be prepared. But we also got to keep our options open and always think ahead of these guys even more now than we did this past season.
Good point. Good point. Thank you for that, Hemo. Go ahead, Mike. Add to that same question. Add your input on that.
Yeah, so I was trying to read some of the comments and listen to Chemo. What was the most recent question? That's my bad because I was listening to Chemo a lot and trying to read some of the comments. I saw some people put up some questions on there.
Let's see here. Let's go with this one here.
Yeah, I saw George, man. Big shout out to George. I will say for me, as far as like what we need to do, I think your question was like, what do we need to do to be on top or stay relevant or something like that, or improve the team to win the Super Bowl. Um,
Mm.
for me, man, I'm big on trenches. I don't know if it's because I live down south and I see a lot of football down here, especially being in the great state of Florida. I know that if you got these trenches, the O line, D line battle, you win. It's simple as that. So I feel like for me, I'm prioritizing Jimmy Garoppolo and O line. Because if we boosted that up and get it improved, I think those passes where he, like, for example, overthrew Sanders are completions with more time in the pocket. I think he makes better decisions because he's going to improve. But if he has a better line, his improvement will be even more significant to where it takes pressure off of our defense. Our defense is still going to be good. So I think our offense can use a lot of upgrade. Like, he can use some more artillery at receiver, and I haven't seen Trent Taylor. I haven't seen the other rookie we got that was out,
Jalen Hurd.
Jalen Hurd. But I just know that if we could get some more deep threats going to help complement, George Kittle, I would love to see another like tight end, and maybe Hurd might offer that. Maybe Hurd can come in there and do like a wide receiver tight end type of thing. So yeah, let's just keep building, man. Like we can fill these voids in other areas now and do it for cheaper. Not expense the mortgage of our future. And I want to say this real quick before I turn it back over to you, Beto. I know that when we're talking about it on this show, in this panel, and Niner fans in general, when we're talking about like DeForest Buckner being a guy, a centerpiece that we all are going to miss, and things like that, and not mortgage in the future. I want to make it clear there are individuals like George Kittle who are worth that type of investment. DeForest Buckner, like Kimo said, value wise, is worth it as an individual talent, but for the team expenses, would you rather invest in DeForest Buckner or George Kittle? I'm gonna say George Kittle because I feel George Kittle is the best in his position. I can't say that about DeForest Buckner. He's obviously not the highest paid. Doesn't mean that he's the best because he's not the highest paid. Because we know Tom Brady's not the highest paid in his position. But Aaron Donald could certainly be argued as the best in his position. George Kittle is the best in his position over Travis Kelce. I said it. He's the overall better tight end. So when you got a unique player like that, yeah, we're going to throw the bank at George Kittle and make him retire a 49er.
Absolutely. I agree.
Kittle's a hybrid. He's not just a tight end. He's a hybrid because he's a monster at blocking, as we know.
Right.
He's just he's just like you said, Beto, game changer, big time game changer. He changes the pace of the game, and that's why he gets on there. It may seem like arrogance, but he is absolutely dominating.
I'm gonna add this too. Our run game took a dip when he was out those weeks. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. When he came back, our run game was back on par. So that tells you the significance of his blocking, his overall play. So, I think Niner fans will be all right. I think right now people are panicking because they're reacting on the departure of Buckner rather than focusing on the additions by subtraction.
And I understand that. I understand that because you're talking to a Patrick Willis fan big time. And I was heartbroken when Patrick Willis retired. And that was a part of what I call the worst barrage in Niner history. We lost him. We lost Borland. We lost a lot of players in that year, and I had to focus on trust the process. Trust the process. It'll take time. Trust the process.
Yeah, just remember, guys. We no longer have a ACL drafting type of GM in Balak. Okay, he's gone. We have someone like John Lynch, and like Kimo said, listen, you got to trust the process. Live or die by the sword. You got to live or die by the sword, man. When things go good, everybody's like, yeah. When something goes wrong, everybody wants to crucify the individual. Listen, this is the third season in the Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch era. Third season that just passed. They took us to the Super Bowl. Did we win? No. Okay, but we made it to the Super Bowl on a first-time rookie GM. There's never been a GM before, and a first-time head coach. Okay, 30 year in, and they're taking us to the 13-3 from a 2-4, 2-14 team. Okay, so you got to keep those things in perspective. And to answer Danny Navarro's question about they should have tagged Armstead and maybe trade him, I'm pretty sure they tried to do that. They tried to see what trade offers were out there, and there probably wasn't enough bait. And we signed him for $17.5 million. Okay, that's something that I think if we would have just signed him for 1 year, we would have to give him $17 million for 1 year under the tag if we would have kept him.
Yeah,
we signed him for 5 years, and actually, I heard that we actually signed him for 6 years. 5 years with the option of the 6th year for Eric Armstead. And so with that said, there's a couple of receivers that I want to talk about. I want to get you guys an input on it. I got my top 5 receivers that I like and that I think will be a good addition to the 49ers. You can never pass up on a Julio Jones type of receiver. Whenever a Julio Jones type of receiver pops up, you want to take advantage. And prior to this trade, there's no way we could have talked about a top receiver because we were picking at 31, and there's no way any of that would have happened. But now we have the ability, and I'm not saying he'll fall to us at 13, but I'm expecting at least one of these 5 receivers to be there at 13, if not more, to pick from. But the first guy that I like, it's a very good route runner. If you know Kyle Shanahan's system, he loves route runners. He loves separation after the catch. And that's Jerry Jeudy. receiver from Alabama. Great receiver, great route runner. He reminds me a lot of Julio Jones. He is someone that we can definitely take a look at. Then he's number one. Then my second pick will be C.D. Lamb out of Oklahoma. He's a little bit more raw compared to Judy, but he's still a great possession receiver. And if we want to go with speed, if we want to get a better, faster, with more tangibles than Marquise Goodwin, we can go with Henry Ruggs, the third receiver out of Alabama. He's 5'10". He runs. He's a quick runner. He blows the defense off the top off of defenses. We can go him. And then my boy T. Higgins out of Clemson. I watched him a lot, being that I'm a Clemson fan. I watched him a lot. He brings a lot. He's my fourth. And then Justin Jefferson, receiver out of LSU, is my fifth top receiver. And we can always go that direction. And I don't know. I kind of got the idea from Mike earlier on the receivers, but Kimo, out of those receivers, are you familiar with them? And if you are, which one appeals to you more out of those five? If we do go receiver at 13,
I gotta go with either Judy out of Alabama or your favorite out of Clemson, because I like the kid from Clemson because he's battle tested. Very solid player. You know, he was a good part of their national championships, and with the kid from Alabama, yeah, route runner, reminds me a lot of Julio Jones, and yeah, that could fit Shanahan's system to a T. So that would be the two that I go with. Keep an eye on I forget his name. Keep an eye on the guy from ASU, and also keep an eye on that kid from Colorado. They could be something if they're with the right team, both of them.
Simmons?
I don't know if it's Simmons. I forget the ASU kid's name, but I just say keep an eye on him. If he's with a right team, you know, he could be something. But you know, that all depends on what team and how they fit. And the kid from Clemson and Judy, they're the two that I think could be pretty good key additions, especially with Debo being our number one receiver, which I've called him that since he earned it. I call him number one receiver. So, you know, we got the hybrid in him. And I think about putting, you know, one or both of them, you know, just you have each of them that could be opposite of him. And I just think of the potential. And, you know, Debo got my attention big time this year. I mean, just amazing how versatile he is. I mean, we got Kittle. Kittle's the whole game changer on that offense along with Jimmy G, but Debo just got on me. And if we could put that kid from Alabama there or the kid from Clemson, I mean, that could be solid. Very solid receiving core.
Yeah, very good point. That's good. That's great. Screw Boston. There's my boy Nathaniel. What's up, Nathaniel? Welcome to the show.
I don't think Boston Hater's happy right now, though, because I remember he kept talking about it.
Yes, he did. So those are the top receivers that I'm looking at. And then again, if I don't know if we'll go to this direction, but if we wanted to replace DeForest Buckner with the number 13 pick, we can go after Derek Brown, defensive tackle out of Auburn. The guy's 6'4", weighs 222 pounds, projected 40 time, 4.95. Projected round is the top 10. He's a top 10 player out of Auburn. His resume, I'm not going to read his whole resume, but his resume is pretty good. So if you don't know who Derek Brown is, look him up on YouTube. I know a lot of people don't like highlights. I understand. Look if you want to have the patience to look at the whole game, look at the whole game. But the kid stands out. And if you wanted someone to replace at a cheaper cost, we could go to him. We can draft him and plug and play. And I'm not saying he's going to come. You know, we're not going to miss DeForest Buckner, but he'll definitely come in and help us out on that D line, and then we can move forward. But I still like the options of getting a receiver. Yes, I like Deebo Samuel. He's great. He's going to be great for us. But we don't have that true number one receiver. Now, a lot of people say you don't need a true number one, and that's the people's opinion. That's fine. I respect that. But it's nice to have someone that you can kind of a game changer, like George Kittle. Can you imagine if we have a game changer in Kittle and a game changer in a receiver?
That would be huge. That would be.
It'll only be greater for our team. So it's always valid to have get another number one receiver. Now, does every player plan out for us? No, but again, we only got to trust the process and trust that the scouting team is doing their job. Trust that John Lynch is doing his job right, and shows Kyle Shanahan. And we got to go for number 6, man. We got to get that 6th trophy. And as fans, we are entitled to our opinion, absolutely. But we don't have no say-so on what they do. We either trust in them or we don't. But as a Niner fan, and I'm speaking only for myself, until they're no longer Niner employees, I'm always going to support John Lynch. I'm going to agree with him and everything he does, but I'm always going to support him and Kyle Shanahan until they're no longer part of the team, because that's my loyalty to the team. I'm not going to be negative about them. I'm not going to talk negative. If they make some dumb mistakes, I will bring those mistakes up and I will challenge them on it. But I'm always going to support my GM and my coach as long as they're on the team. That's me. I want to get your thoughts on that, Kimo, and then I'll ask the same thing to Mike.
Yeah, I like what we got in Lynch. I like Coach Shanahan. I love his system. You can see some similarities of what he learned from his dad, the run orientation of it. I think we are going in the right direction. Like many of you guys, I was watching the golden years when this team was everybody was watching them, whether you liked them or not, you watched them. And we've had our tough times, and now I'm really thinking that we're starting to get back to a path where we're going to get that way. Of course, which I've always heard, now with the salary cap and the finances, that's the game within the game that can sometimes be more frustrating than initially when you're looking at a player. And that's where I kind of like it, because it can be a big challenge where everybody's focused on who's in the top 10, but then you got to look out for the guy that's that 5th round pick that nobody really thought about. Those Terrell Davises and guys like that. Tom Brady's coming down in the later rounds. Sorry, Nathaniel, mentioning Boston. I know you're the hater, but just looking at those late round guys, and that's some of the interesting things about it. But the finances can be so frustrating, and as I've learned from you guys, Beto and Florida Mike and Boston Hater, it's about viability, and it's not just value; it's viability and what's going to work for the team. And sometimes you got to make those hard choices, and that's what John Lynch was hired for. He was hired to make those tough choices. Now, yeah, we're human. We're going to make those errors, but you find a way to make it work. And I'm sure that it was not I bet it wasn't a very easy decision by far to let Buckner go. But when you get down to it, it's just like Mike said, somebody got to go. You can't keep them all the time. I mean, in a perfect world, in a fantasy world, Xbox League, go back to the Nintendo Tecmo Bowl days. Yeah, in a perfect world, you could keep all these guys, but I gotta understand there's finances that get involved in it, and these guys, we forget these guys are players, and they worked hard to get where they're at, but they only get maybe 1 or 2 paydays in their career if they're lucky, and that's especially with guys that aren't quarterbacks. Quarterbacks, they get the super Cadillac and all that. They're gonna get at least 1, maybe 2 big time paydays, but if you're lucky, if your other position players, if you're lucky, you might get 1, maybe 2 paydays. So I like what we got in that front office. He works with the coach. I just see a lot of success coming with him, and as long as they keep staying on the path, trust the process, bang bang Niner gang.
I agree, absolutely, I agree. Mike, I just want Nathaniel said here, where is it? We are where do you put it? I just left. We're 19.3 million under the cap. Okay, coming into the offseason, we looked pretty bad. Our cap was low. We had no revenue in the draft. And now our GM puts together where we're 19.3 under the cap. We signed Eric Armstead. Um, we have draft capital now, and we, according to Nathaniel, and he's a very good source in my book, we just resigned Jimmy Ward. He's resigned.
Yeah, I just saw that. I got a Niner app, so it pops up on while this show's going, and I just
See,
saw
they
that
already
Jimmy
knew
Ward.
what they were doing. They knew what they were doing
They have a
when.
plan. And real quick, for those that said that we should have kept, like Corey, what's up, Corey? Welcome to the show. With all due respect, for those that say we should have kept Eric Armstead, I mean, we should have let Eric Armstead walk and kept DeForest. You know, the finance part dictates what we do. It's not like, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch went eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Who should we let go or who should we keep? They had to look at the future and what would be better for the team.
Exactly.
If they can keep both, they would. If they could have got some good, let's say Armstead wanted too much money. He's like, you know what, I deserve this. He had a great year. If he wanted to put his foot down, says, you know what, I want 21 million myself, the Niners would have cut him. I mean, they would have let him go. They're not going to even entertain him. But because he was willing to take a discount, and because he wanted to stay locally to Sacramento, where he's from, he was able to work with the Niner organization against the cap. DeForest Buckner did not really want to work too much with the front office. He wanted to get paid. So it's not really John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan picking Armstead over Buckner. Is Buckner stuck to his ground and says, I want this amount of money. You remember last year, they offered him $18 million a year. And
he turned it down.
He turned it down. Okay,
That's
so
right.
it's not like they didn't try to sign him. They offered him $18 million a year, and he turned it down. So DeForest Buckner was looking at the bigger picture, and the Niners says, as much as we want to keep you, we can't afford you. So DeForest Buckner is the one to make the decision to move on. The best thing the Niners could do was to get a compensation for him, which they did by getting the 13 overall, and that's kudos to John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, that knowing that Buckner wanted to leave or wanted more money and they couldn't pay him, he was going to leave. Let's get something out of it now, much now than later, and that's where I give our GM credit, that they couldn't stop him from leaving. And what I mean by leaving is that we're not going to pay him what he wanted, so he was going to leave. Why not get something for him now? And they did. Your thoughts on that, guys?
And I'll tell you what, Beto. Yeah, you're right about that. Big time.
Go ahead, Mike.
Let me get in here real quick, bro. So
Go ahead.
I'm really not, and I'm not doing this to be rude. I'm not. I'm focusing on the conversation because it's hard to multitask, seeing the comments and stuff. So I try to glance at the comments a little bit. Appreciate you guys commenting. If we don't address something on the panel, we're not being rude, ignoring you. We are trying to focus on the conversation while checking out the comments to keep our viewers engaged. So if you post something on there, please post it again so that way we might see it a second time. I'm only speaking on me because I'm looking at I'm focusing in on the convo, kind of making sure I'm understanding what's being said, and then trying to glance a little bit at the comments because they're coming up so fast. So just want you guys to keep commenting, man. Know that we're not ignoring you and being rude, man. Keep commenting. We're trying our best.
I love it commenting.
Yeah. So I'm gonna interject real quick. So like, when people say things like we got we shouldn't have got rid of Buckner, let him go or whatever, and and then they say things like, George Kittle is stuff is not available till the future. People got to understand something. George Kittle's not the only player that we're trying to be able to get a large payday. George Kittle's going to have a large payday. Anticipate that. That's what we're doing. We're preparing. That's smart. We're also preparing for players like Jimmy Ward that we obviously just signed right now. And you got to think, you got guys like Fred Warner, who's going to probably get, a big payday when his payday's up. So we're preparing for the future because at the end of the day, we got guys that we got to pay. Fred Warner's going to be a stud. George Kittle's going to be a stud. And these are guys that the Niners probably would like to continue to keep around as much as possible. So we got so many defensive linemen in our rotation, to be honest, That's the deepest depth of quality position on this team. Period. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of defensive linemen. So losing Buckner, as far as his quality, sure, it's a huge loss. But as far as quantity of depth, we'll be able to sustain on that. I mean, we got a good D line. You're acting like our D line is going to be terrible. It's not. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be good. So I like what we're doing. I like how we're preparing, looking long term in the future, and making sure that we can retain the players that we want. And we still had to pay some of these guys that we got right now. You know, like
Yep.
Youth Check and
Yeah.
you know what I'm
And
saying?
we signed Houston too. Juice has
That's
been
what I'm saying.
signed.
Like people got to look at the totality of the roster. We're trying to basically what I'm saying is we're trying to keep as many of the quality players that we can. That's not
Yes.
going to affect our future. DeForest Buckner salary will not be in the Niners organization's best interest going forward. So we had to cut ties and get something for him because if we kept him, we get a compensation pick or whatever. And if we don't retain the salary, and then we're gonna have trouble retaining up and coming players that are gonna be due real soon. We're trying to prepare for that now, so that way we have that. So going forward, we can move in comfort and don't feel obligated to take a chance on something like that. It's best to go ahead and get what you know now rather than go forward and say, "Damn, man, we should have did this then." Because other guys are gonna want more money too as the cap keeps going up. They performing. That's just how it is. So we got to prepare for that.
And look, they even thought like baseball. You know how they think about players ahead. Signed Jimmy Ward tonight or earlier this evening. They were already thinking ahead, anticipation, just like you said, Mike. And you know, not everybody that's a fan of our team is going to understand that, and I can understand how that goes. But there's growing pains when you try to get this successful, and you know, you guys brought up the great points, and I learn more and more every time I hear you guys. And I tell you, here's a shout out to Nathaniel, the Boston hater. I put him right up there with Adam Schifter. I'll listen. I'll look at what Shifter has to say if there's a trade or something. But I'm looking to Nathaniel if he's going to break it down and all that. So I hold him in high regard, big time.
Yeah,
And
he's one of the best, man.
so I look to what you guys will say, and that's because to me, you guys know more about it than most of these so-called guys on ESPN that's just trying to get ratings. And that's what I want to hear when it's talking about Niner football is the real substance, not what being hyped up on ESPN. I want to know exactly what's going on.
ESPN.
Yeah, first take ESPN, all those guys. It's all about rating. It's all about highlights.
Exactly.
And they don't know the depth of the team like we do. They know of the team. They know what the panel is given before the show goes on. They read it in a script and they talk about the script. We are Niner fans. We know because we love our team. We go into depth. No, real quick, just to bring up, and we have to break this down, what the whole contract is. But like Nathaniel said to my remark about Armstead giving us a discount, he says $17 million is not a discount. That is the market rate for Armstead, which is for a pass rusher. But you got to look at the whole contract, and you got to look at what we gave him as a signing bonus, what counted against the salary cap, all that takes in there. And you know what? Here's Nate. Let me bring him in, and we'll get Nate's breakdown. Boston Hitter himself, his breakdown on this. But that's what I meant as a discount. It's also in the signing bonus and in the friendly contract the Niners have with them. What's up, Nathaniel? How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. Yourself, man? How you doing?
Good. Can everybody hear each other?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay,
Hey,
perfect.
finally get the
hey,
talking with the Boston hater.
hey, let me say this real quick too, because brother Nate is on. Big shout out to my bro Nate. You already know
Yes,
that's my
sir.
boy. I also want to say for the Niner fans, man, who are kind of worried about this right now, let's look at the 3 years that we drafted. Majority of our players are impacting players. McGlinchey, Debo Samuel, um, all these guys that we drafted, Dre
Greenlaw.
Greenlaw. You know what I'm
Greenlaw.
saying? They came in, Fred Warner. When we drafted them, they came in, they were impacting in their respective classes of the draft. So it's not like these guys took 3 years to get right. they're coming in right away and they're progressing every game, every season. So for every Dante Pettis that didn't, pan out the way we wanted, or Solomon Thomas, we got 3 or 4 players to the 1 ratio that have panned out. So let's trust this process. Like, I guarantee you, they got a plan. They know what the hell they're doing. They're in there for a reason. They haven't failed us. So when people are putting pressure on our GM every year and Kyle Shanahan, this is going into year 4. If you haven't trusted the process by now and you're like, hey man, they better get this right. They better do this. They better do that. I don't know what else to tell you. They've been drafting very well. Over 80% of the drafts are contributing to this team. 90% probably. Damn near 100. I mean, most of the players are. So I'm good with what we're doing, man. I trust this process, man. Brick by brick all day. But go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Mike, do you mean something like when you trade DeForest Buckner for the 13th overall pick, and then the remark that you get from that is that John Lynch's legacy as a GM is predicated solely on that 13th pick making it happen? You mean a statement
Right.
like that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Indubitably.
Yeah, okay. Well, you know, I don't know who would say something like that. That's ludicrous, but
But know
Oh, I
what?
had a feeling
This
that
is
was coming.
this is why we have this show, because we're gonna have a segment of Niner fans who only box in one thought and one view, and they overreact every time. It's like one day they want this, the next day they put someone's legacy on the line, and the reality is we made the Super Bowl in the first 3 years with an inexperienced GM. You don't trust the process? Come on, bro. You got GMs. Look at what we had with Balky. Look at what we had with that. And now look at what we're doing with this.
hey.
How can you not trust the process? So I have no reason to doubt unless if we had got Tom Brady, I would doubt.
Oh yeah.
No, on my defense, I said I was joking when I made that
Hey, I don't want to
statement.
hear all that.
Okay.
No. This is, but Beto, this is not geared towards you. I need
No,
you to
yes, it is.
Actually, I was joking and it was geared toward you.
It was. It was
no.
directed to me. Like, no, trust me,
No.
it was directed. Nate himself was saying it was.
No,
Right, Nate?
not from me. It's not indirectly to you. This
Hey,
is from reports.
No, but it's
hey,
okay. It's
I
okay.
just
It's
served
okay.
Mike up on here,
It's
and I didn't
not.
even go ahead and take a
100%
swing at
for
you.
supporting me out.
He
I
didn't
love Mike
even
for
know what it
supporting me.
was.
I love Mike for supporting me. But I made a reference in our chat room, and Nate responded to that, and so I knew that was coming. But I had to. I love messing with Nate. I like throwing little curveballs with him because I love to see his reactions,
Hey,
especially when the comments are stupid. I love his reactions because, especially when they're really like plain dumb. Of course, you don't assess Charles based on what he does on 13. He took us to the Super Bowl already.
Yeah,
You know.
that's what you assess him on. As long as the team continues to do well, stay
Yes.
competitive, and be right there in the midst of playoff and championship contention. That's what being a GM is about. Giving your coaches the players to be able to compete.
Yes, sir.
Making them viable too, as you always point out in the finance side of it too.
Yeah,
hey,
and
I
you
have a
know,
Homie D Clown sock. It's an ankle sock. It's not as long as his. But if you remember Homie D Clown, anybody talks about Brady, I will come through this phone like Ghost Dad, and I will clock you upside your head.
Listen,
All right, I'm
Homie,
good.
don't
Y'all go
play
ahead.
that.
we don't want Brady's not coming, and neither is Kirk Cousins. He signed a 2-year extension
Oh
with
my
Minnesota.
God. We had
Okay,
people. Dude, look.
I
This is how
know.
passionate I am. I have to be to work in 5 hours. I'm on the East Coast, and I don't give a damn. I was supposed to be in bed an hour ago getting my
You
break.
will when you try to get up on the alarm. You will, but not right now. I understand.
Bro, I can't believe that we actually had a few people,
Oh, more than a few.
more than a few,
Yeah, you're being
entertain
nice.
Kirk Cousins, entertain Tom Brady.
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
realize that was like a trap. That's how I look at it. The whole
Those are
thing about
Those are
Brady, that was
trolls.
a trap.
Those are just trolls, bringing
well,
in trying
I
to
mean,
troll things.
I would have, if I was a Patriot fan, I would have pushed that whole Tom Brady thing. I mean, I understand from their perspective.
Oh, exactly.
But you know, when 49er, fans and people that like the Niners, just whatever. I mean, come on, man, really?
You got to remember the agent for Brady is the same agent for Garoppolo. Okay,
Yeah,
same. So the agent's trying to make it so we can get more money for Brady,
yeah.
and
There,
so I can see him throwing that out there just to try to get
there
Brady.
is, there is some, that does make sense.
So he throws that part in there just to
Yeah,
kind of stir up the pot for
yeah,
Brady. But we knew. I mean, Kyle, come on, John Lynch and Kyle Shannon, what they have done. Yes, Kyle might have loved Cousins. He might have really liked Cousins, but that was before Jimmy Garoppolo coming to the Niners. That's before he actually worked with and got to know Jimmy as a human being and as a person and work with him. Things change. You may like a girl in high school and think she's pretty, but if you meet someone else and you get to know the other girl at your job more often than not and you fall in love, then you move on. So, Niner fans that want Brady or want Cousins, you need to get off the drugs, man. Really, you know what I mean? Because Jimmy Garoppolo, he has nothing to prove. The kid took first year that he played a full season, takes us to the Super Bowl. Come on,
yeah.
who's done that
He proved it
recently?
to me. The 5 games after the trade, he proved it to me right then and there.
Yeah,
Because
well, that one. I mean, we saw what he was capable of doing there, but playing a full year, not only that, but he had a great year. He didn't almost 4,000 yards, 27 touchdowns. His touchdown to interception ratio was better. Only 13 interceptions. Yeah, everybody thinks, well, he could have done more in the Super Bowl. He didn't do that bad in the Super Bowl. I don't know where people are stating that he did bad. Where did he do wrong in the Super Bowl? They were leading by 10 points, 2 possessions with 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. What else do you want? I mean, the shit broke down
A
and we
win.
lost.
Yeah, a win. A
A
W.
win. Yeah,
Yeah,
shit broke
that's
down.
what.
Excuse my
That's
language.
yeah.
And we didn't. But if the Niners would have won the Super Bowl and Jimmy would have been MVP, we would have been having none of the
Oh,
super conversation about Brady
there's no
or
question
Cousins.
that had they won it, he would have been the MVP.
Absolutely.
But
He
you
was
know what? They
already
probably would have
well on his way.
criticized him too. They still probably would have criticized him because he just doesn't get no respect. Even if
Well,
he won, Jimmy
those are just
Garoppolo wouldn't have
fans.
got no respect. He wouldn't
Those
have,
are just those are just
you
fans
know,
that
if
hate
he
they
won the
hate they hate on him.
MVP. They do. They just hate on him because they know the talent. But I put it this way: there got to be a reason other than the obvious ones why Belichick traded him to us. There has to be a reason why he drafted him before all this.
Well, there.
Garoppolo first proved what kind of toughness he had to me when he started for Brady when Brady got hurt in that first start for him against Arizona. So,
Yeah. So real quick, Nate, since you're the last one to come on here, I want to get your thoughts on moving forward. Like I said this earlier, whether people like it or not, whether people agree with it or not, DeForest Buckner has been traded. This is where we're at now. This is reality. You don't have to accept it, but the thing is, he has been traded. They're not going to change their mind tomorrow. He's gone to the Colts. We have the 13 overall pick. What can the Niners do from this point on to continue to make the team better in your perspective, Nathaniel?
Well, they definitely need to address their offensive line at guard, right guard in particular.
Okay.
Um, it would also be a good idea for them to, you know, maybe look at adding a solid wide receiver to the bunch and go ahead and let the old Emmanuel Sanders go.
Okay. Well, now, with that said, to stay on top of that, would you be okay if we added a receiver with a 13 overall and a guard with the 31st? A good guard, or a tackle that can be converted to guard while Staley is on the team and then move him to tackle?
Well, there's definitely some people that have versatility. I don't know if the versatility is so much guard tackle when you get down there as it might be center guard. Um, I don't know. It might actually be beneficial to see what happens at 13 because you mentioned 5 guys. I don't think those 5 guys are worth a 13 round. There's only 2 or 3 of them maybe that I would think are worth a 13. Um,
Okay.
And there's so many receivers in this draft. I don't think that it makes. There's a lot of good. There's going to be starting talent receivers in the second and third round of this draft. You're going to see starters coming out of that. I don't know that it really makes sense to spend all that draft capital on a wide receiver.
Okay. Okay. So do you think?
Trading
Okay.
back
So
might be the answer.
that's what I was going to ask. So trade down from the 13th spot, maybe
Yeah.
into the 20s.
Maybe, and see what else we can get there. Because some of those guys that you named, at least two of them, if you're talking about early 20s, they're going to be around.
Yeah, that's true.
Higgins will be there.
Yeah.
Down. I think Jerry Judy will be gone, and CD Lamb will be gone. I think those are the two guys you were talking about.
I think those guys are gone before 13. Really.
Yeah, the Raiders are. Remember, the Raiders are on top of them now. Do you see the Niners making a mistake of bounding up the 31st and the first to try to move up?
For what?
I know, just a thought. I don't know.
I hope not.
I hope not for a quarterback.
Quarterback.
I just keep that 31st pick. Why not? If anything, go down further if possible.
I would think if we depending on what we do at 13, that 31 is very much a play to trade down from now, and accumulate more later picks. But if we can move from 13 to maybe 17, 18, and accumulate a second round or third round, why not?
As far down as like early mid 20s, 21 to 25.
Yeah, see what goes on after the 10.
Depending on what we can get in there, because I think
now with that said, Nate, I want to get your perspective on this. We traded a great caliber of player of DeForest Buckner.
Mm-hmm.
So we trade down from the 13 to, let's say, 25 or 22. Let's say 22 spot.
Okay.
Who would you target then? Not an individual player, but position. At that point, would you go then get a guard?
It depends. I mean, I'm trying to think of how that would fall. I would have to look at the players available at that time. I mean, guard is always a possibility because we really need to upgrade. That might be the weakest link on our starting 22, honestly. It might be the weakest link. So I could see that.
I got to see what goes on in the first 10 or 15 to really determine it, because sometimes, these linemen, they start picking linemen out of nowhere like crazy.
Yeah, I think I know that at least 3 or 4 quarterbacks are going to go on top of QBs, so that's going to give us a little bit of range. Somebody had mentioned to me earlier in my show that what if Chase Young will fall to 13? I'm like,
oh my God, take that guy.
Yeah.
It'll never happen.
A few people said it, and I'm like, I have a better chance.
It'll never happen, but
I have a better chance of weighing 190 pounds by then in my first show. That happening.
If there were 12 teams that dumb, you take him.
But
it's not going to happen.
Yeah, so they, some conversations is nice. It's nice to bring up for conversational, but that's ludicrous. That's or saying that we're going to go after Bortles over Jimmy when we're already established in a system that is complex, and he already knows it.
Chase Young's worst case scenario is 3.
Yeah. I doubt if he goes to 4.
Yeah,
only
I agree with
3
that.
because the Washington can go for a quarterback.
That's it. If you get 2 teams going for quarterback, he's the next guy because he's really the first guy. Yeah.
I have you. Go ahead and read this message. This is for you, Nate.
I don't see it, but
okay. It says, "Man, he is talking crazy, trading down."
Yeah. Well, the bottom line is, I hear you talking, but who are you? Who's so important at 13 that trading from 13 to 20 or 24? What's gonna be such a significant difference at 13? Who's gonna
That's why I said I gotta wait till the 10 gets selected.
There's a lot of players in that bunch right there that it's kind of like flip a coin. They're pretty close.
So
does it make sense to acquire more draft capital, especially in those rounds where Maybe you can get a guard in the second round. Maybe you can get, and you pick up these couple of extra picks now that you have this capital to play with, and you're only moving down a bit. These guys are probably going to be in the same kind of area on the board when you messing with 13 and 25. Because once you get past about the top 8, then it drops to another tier because they don't really have this big bunch of blue chippers like they're saying, but they got a lot of good receivers. So if you're talking about drafting a receiver at 13, you're missing on the guys that you would really want to jump out there and get. You're stepping down.
Now let's say for sake of argument, let's say CeeDee Lamb or Jerry is available at 13. Having the two receivers, Jerry Jude, the guy from Alabama, just now I'm not getting
Talking about Judy?
Judy, yes. If he's available or a CeeDee Lamb is available at 13, would you still trade down or would you take one of those receivers?
Is it likely? I mean, I think it's highly unlikely.
No, but let's say that just for simplicity, let's say one of them is available at 13.
That's almost, not quite as far of a stretch, but that's almost Chase Young talk to me. But I mean, I don't know about these guys the same way I feel about Chase Young. Feeling surefire to me. These guys feel like I could go with somebody else.
Yeah,
There's too many choices at wide receiver.
Yeah, I would jump on Jerry if it was up to me, just because I like him. He reminds me a lot of Julio Jones on the route running.
Do you know that Julio Jones runs like the wind? This guy doesn't. He doesn't remind me of Julio Jones.
I mean, well, he doesn't run. What's the name? Ruggs runs like a lot like Julio Jones.
Yeah, but he's smaller.
Henry.
Yeah, he's smaller.
He's smaller. He's 5'10".
Yeah,
he's an upgrade from Marquise Goodwin, a better.
Yeah,
I understand. There's a lot of receivers out there. There's plenty of receivers to go, but there's only those kind of receivers that only come like once in a great while.
If I was gonna chase high, it probably wouldn't be the receiver. There's too many choices at receiver.
Yeah, but not the caliber of those three receivers. Those three.
Yeah, we don't know. It's like, would we have said that? Who was it that was drafted second round? Some of the better wide receivers, the rookie wide receivers in this year's class ended up getting drafted in the second round. So who knows?
Not true. I mean, if you want to get technical, Jerry Rice was drafted, 17, 16?
No, but he was first round. That's different.
No. But he was past the top 10, and look what he turned out to be.
That's
but
why I'm not so sold on. It has to be those guys. There's too many to choose from.
Now, would you guys go with a top corner at 13?
That might get me to bite.
You get a top corner to pair up with Richard Sherman and this kid, top corner, put them back there. It wouldn't be too bad, man.
Or maybe if maybe one of these receivers did drop to 13, maybe the Niners pick them up and maybe use them to get a little bit more clout. Maybe put them in a deal or something to get more out of it. I know that'd be kind of asking a little too much, but
why draft them?
Yeah. You don't want to. You don't want to do that.
I mean, it's a stretch to do something like that because it might end up costing you in the end.
Yeah, but probably end up stuck with him. So hopefully you liked him if you drafted him.
That's the key, just right there. If you like him anyway, so don't.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys have any names of any top corners, whether us here on the panel or the viewers on the comments?
Corners are kind of thin, and so are safeties. This isn't a big secondary draft,
This is why you would take a corner if he's that good at 13 because they're thin.
Yeah, and even the safeties, after the first two, it really drops off.
True.
Yeah.
If you want to, so who's out there who's out there in your guys' opinion at safety or corner that you're like, you know what, if he happens to be there at 13, I'm jumping all over it.
You got that LSU cat at safety.
Delpit?
Delpit, yeah, Grant Delpit. That's his name. Yeah. He would probably be somebody that would get me to go ahead and do it.
You like him over McKinley?
Yes, definitely.
Xavier? Okay, you like him over Xavier? Okay.
Yeah, I think Xavier is probably gonna be more of like of a box safety, or if he's not, he's gonna be more of that cover two more so than that single high. And what we do for the most part, you need that single high range. Uh, I mean, I'm not gonna spend a 13 overall pick on a box safety. That's nah,
Mm-mm.
yeah. And because see, what could end up happening ultimately is if you draft somebody like Delpit, maybe he ends up being the free safety, and they end up moving Jimmy Ward to the strong safety because he can play both. And ultimately, Tart is the odd man out.
What do you guys think about this kid, Jeff Okudua? I can't pronounce his last name. His name is out of Ohio State. He's a hell of a corner. I can't pronounce his last name. It's spelled
Yeah,
Okudah.
I know what you're trying to say, but yeah,
He's a good
at,
kid, man.
at 13,
At
yeah,
13.
will he be there?
No, that's a yeah.
Yeah,
He might not. How
I
about
really.
AJ Terrell out of is it Clemson?
Mm,
No, not Clemson. I'm thinking no. That's a different one. The one I'm thinking is out of Florida State. Uh, Mr. Mike should know about him.
no,
Your corner.
no. At 13, no.
No. So the only one that probably would be Jeff or Delpelt, Grant
Yeah,
Delpelt.
if I was gonna go secondary, those are the only two guys I'm really high on at 13.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one thing about being in a position between 11 and 17. You really got to really see what's going on in that first 8 or 10 to really get an idea of where you really want to go at that point. And then sometimes it's just a shootout at that point.
Yeah, I like Grant Delpit from LSU. I think I love his tangibles. Yes, he doesn't tackle very well, but those are things you can teach a young kid to do, man. And I agree with Nate. I do like him. A lot of people say he might be there at 31, but that's a stretch. Being at 31, if he does fall at 31, I would jump on it immediately at 31 and not bother trading down from him. But now we signed Jimmy Ward, so is that even an avenue that we're going to actually pursue?
Sure. It's not that, because Jimmy Ward is versatile. He can do either.
Moving
So,
the corner
Hey,
if we
bro,
have to.
I gotta
so
go, man.
all right,
I'm
Mike.
gonna get up with y'all though. Bang
Okay,
bang.
Mike.
All right.
Niner
Take,
gang, go ahead,
take care,
brother.
bro.
Thank you for being with us, brother.
All right, bro.
All right, take it easy, Mike.
You too, man. Bang bang, 9 again.
And bang, bang, nine again.
Yeah. So I'm kind of on the whole when it comes to looking at. Oh man, that's who I was thinking of. I'm sorry. Um, isn't there a guard center out of Oklahoma State? Yeah, and I'm talking about late first round, early second round kind of guy. His name slips me, but he was another guy I was looking at if we got down there. And that would probably be a good pickup for us because he's a guy that can play center, but he's a guard. Yeah.
And I like George's comment.
Hmm?
He says, "Man, we are picking at 13, and you act like no one's going to be there."
Well, George is getting a little George is getting a little excited. See,
Oh,
I'm okay
I
with
love
that,
it.
George, and more power. I'm not saying no one's gonna be there. What I'm saying is that when you're looking at what we've got going as far as draft capital, and when you look at our salary structure right now, because we're not in a good position when it comes to this year. We're fine. Next year, yeah, we're going to be looking to pay more people. And as you keep going, you've got to look at what can you do to keep down that that salary and be able to stay competitive. And one of the things you have to do is you have to replace some of these high-priced players with young players. And we only have a certain number of um, um, free agents that come up, like the exclusive rights free agents. What's his name? Emmanuel Mosley is not going to be an exclusive rights free agent next year.
Oh, true that.
He will be stepping up to the restricted free agent level. And so there's going to be more money involved in that. And when you start looking at how these players evolve, that's what you've got to do. You've got to be able to have the next man up. And when you're sitting there looking at 13 and you want to go all in on a guy where you can easily look to do someone who's similar in talent by backing up 8 to 10 spots and picking up more draft capital, which, outside of the fact that now we got 2 number ones, that's huge. We can parlay that into more and still get the same level of quality and player in that range. So that's why I say it's not like you're drafting in that top 8 or 10. That's a different group. We're outside of that. Maybe somebody from that group that you look at slips to that, and at that point we can discuss that. But it's kind of hard to talk about right now because more than likely those guys will be gone. But if it does happen, great, go for it. But if it doesn't, and it usually does not, then now you have to look at this from a more business aspect, because we got a lot of people in here hoorahing about DeForest Buckner, and we should have kept Armstead. The dollars didn't add up. We would have kept Buckner had he accepted that deal for $18 million last year. It's essentially what we paid Armstead. Yeah.
True.
But the thing is, we have a good defensive line, whether we have DeForest Buckner or not. Okay. And no, you cannot replace the DeForest Buckner with what's on our roster. But we don't have to replace DeForest Buckner. There's a lot of teams with a lot less talent on their defensive line that are winning Super Bowls, that beat us in the Super Bowl, for one, than we have right now. So I don't understand why people are so in a fuss about it. We've got to be able to shift to be able to improve our team in other areas, no matter whether he's there or not. Like I said, we're a good defensive line regardless.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, maybe wide receiver is the answer. Offensive lineman is the answer. Defensive back is the answer. We need to improve in other areas. Yeah, we cannot keep 4 first-round draft pick defensive linemen that are playing at a Pro Bowl level. That's just not feasible. You're talking about 75, 80 million of your $200 million salary cap on 4 guys. No, that doesn't make sense.
How long does Nick Bosa have on his rookie year deal?
Every rookie contract from a first rounder is 4 years with a 5th year option that the club has the option to pick up. But here's where the twist comes in. After 3 years, you are allowed to break the contract. In the first 3 years, you can't even negotiate. You can't change anything. That is engraved in stone.
Yeah.
So,
and you got to think about that too. Eventually.
Yeah. So
got to trust Nick Bosa.
So that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's not like we're gonna part ways with him. That's not happening.
No way.
As long as he is the player we're seeing right now, that $20 million deal is gonna be his, not Buckner. So I get it. Yeah. I mean, I don't like it any more than anybody else. If it were me, yeah, I want Buckner over Armstead too. But economically, it just doesn't add up.
Exactly. Real quick, just to answer some of the questions for the viewers that are watching and commentating. Corey Davis says, "What free agent receiver would you look at? Is there anybody, obviously besides Emmanuel Sanders, that we can afford to bring in that is intriguing enough to bring in, or not really? Nobody out there." Go ahead, Nate, and then we'll ask Kimo.
No.
Okay, that was fast and simple. Yep. I love it. Straight to the point. What about you, Kimo?
I got to agree with Nate on that one. I mean, really isn't anybody as far as free agents go, at least that I'd be willing to see the Niners spend money on. I mean, if you can't get Sanders, I can understand that. I mean, that's a toss up as far as at that aspect of it. But yeah, I gotta agree with Nate. There's really nobody, at least I could see, that could fit with this team and with
Okay.
the financial part of it too as well. So
No, no, okay. Now that's the side of the receiver, and I appreciate that. Now, what about corners? Would you guys be willing to look at someone like Harris Jr. from the Broncos?
Depends on his number, but yeah, I've
And I
always
was
said
wrong. They didn't tag him. He
no. They
did.
can't tag Chris Harris. That would be ridiculous. He's
Yeah,
too old.
yeah. So too old. Yeah.
But yeah, Chris Harris, I thought would have fit this year, um, but they didn't cut him loose. And now that they're going to cut him loose, I
Would you
think
guys look into bringing him? Give him
I
a
would,
little run.
depending on what his numbers are, I would like a deal similar to that of kind of
Ward
similar to what Verrett had this year.
over it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think he'll take that, but that would be
he'll get
nice.
close. He'll get a little more, but yeah.
Yeah,
1 year.
Verrett has to go. Some people brought
Oh,
the notion
Verrett's
that
done. Verrett was a 1 year deal. Yeah,
yeah. Some
nobody
people
wants.
thought we should bring him back. Well, for what? So you can just occupy a facility because he didn't do anything. And he's not going to do anything, in my opinion.
Yeah, well,
So I'm glad he's gone. Now, real quick, let me pose this question to both of you, and hopefully the viewers can comment as well. This was brought up earlier by me on my first show, and I wanted to get you guys' opinion on. And before you guys answer, let me finish with my question. Jarrett McKinnon, I understand that a lot of people want him gone. He does cost a lot against the cap, but my question is, if he decides to redo his contract to be very, very, very Niner-friendly contract because he understands that he hasn't played in the last 2 years. He has no value anywhere else. Ain't nobody going to pick him up. His best opportunity to see that to play in a system he's very familiar in would be in Kyle Shanahan's system here in San Francisco. Would you guys be willing to keep him, give him an opportunity at a very discounted price if he's willing to do it? Or hell no matter what, even if he wants to play for free, I don't want him on my team. He needs to go.
Free? Oh, that's a different story.
Well, close to free, but would you guys rather keep him at a good discount and give him an opportunity? Or regardless of what he offers, it's just time to move on?
Well, if he's going deeply discounted where it's not really, much of an effect, why not? I mean, the bottom line is the way he's injured, it's not like he even takes up a roster spot.
It's stupid, Nate.
Yeah, sure.
maybe if he fires his agent, because I'm
Yeah,
sure his
he
agent's going to
goes
tell him
he
something
goes
different.
straight to the disabled list, and we're able to put another player in his spot, so it's not a big deal anyway. Yeah, sure, bring him back.
Really, yeah. Well, that in a nutshell. What about you, Kimo?
I, I'm not sure. I mean, when I saw him in Minnesota is one thing, but the injuries. Do we take a chance on him? Even if it comes down to a Niner friendly, I don't know, but to me it's a toss up here.
Hey,
I mean,
hey,
to me it's like Breida because I like Breida, but it's a toss up to me on this one because maybe if he fires his agent and maybe he pulls up something like what Sherman did when he came with us, maybe where he could negotiate some Niner friendly deal, but I don't know. I just don't see it. It all depends on does he really want to stay with this team and is the Niners willing to because that financial part about it is just it's gonna be there no matter what.
Okay. And I'm going to answer this question first, and then you guys can answer it after me. George says, cut Pettis. I believe you're trying to put Pettis, Verrett, and McKinnon, and trade Goodwin. Now, trading Goodwin, we'll have to wait and see. I would love to trade him. McKinnon, we just spoke about. Verrett is definitely going to leave. On Dante Pettis, in my opinion, you guys could probably have a different opinion. I still think I would like to see another year with him on our team, see what he can do. I'm not sold that he's a bust, or I'm not sold that he's not that good. I think he still can be a good player for us. I would like another year. Me personally, I know you just by Nate's remarks. I know his thoughts on this. It's no
No, not
different.
exactly.
Oh wow, okay, I could be
Yeah.
surprised by your. So I would like to keep him. What's your thoughts, Nate? And then we'll go
Well,
team.
I mean, keep him or not, I think that if we draft a wide receiver, I'm not sure he can make this team.
Mm,
With the guys that are coming back, if you're talking about Taylor and
Jalen Hurts,
Hurd staying healthy, I don't know if Dante Pettis can make this team, especially if
interesting.
we draft another guy. Yeah, he might be the odd man out.
Well, we don't know yet what the situation is with Kendrick Bourne. We haven't heard anything yet, so I don't know if he's testing the waters out there. So I don't know if he'll
Well,
be back. I want him
he's
back. I think
he's a
he's.
restricted free agent, so I don't
Niners
know
can
Well,
if
we'll
add
get
him.
competition for him, but doesn't mean he'll come back. Another team could sign him.
yeah, no one has put anything out there on him yet. So right now
Well,
he's just kind of in limbo.
you got to remember the Kendrick Bourne's type of player is usually a day two, day three type of transition, never a day one type of player. You're not going to hear players like him on day one unless your own team is signing you. Like Jimmy Ward would not have been a day one if he would have got picked up by someone else. Those are more like day two, day three type of players. So
Yeah,
you might hear something come down the line, down the week. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
So yeah, Pettis is in year 3 of his
Is
4-year
it
deal.
is it 3 or 2? We're
Um,
going into a 3.
he's going to year 3, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let me see. Verrett's a unrestricted free agent. He's not an issue. You just don't re-sign him. You just let him go. No biggie. Um, McKinnon, 3rd year of a 4-year deal, as I recall. Um, yeah,
Not for you. Go ahead.
yeah.
I love the viewers are answering each other, which is great.
He's gonna have to either restructure or goodbye because he's gonna get cut. If he doesn't restructure, he's getting cut. Yeah, there's just too much to save because the vast majority of his guaranteed money's gone. The only thing we have left is his prorated signing bonus, and it just doesn't make sense to keep him for the price tag that he has on paper right now. So, yeah, that's a given.
That's a very valid point, and I laughed earlier because I love where our viewers comment a question and the viewers themselves answer it, and I love that
Oh,
interaction.
Taylor Gabriel, no.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
what Corey had mentioned. What about that receiver? He forgot his name from Atlanta that went to Chicago. He can't think of his name. So what got me to laugh was Richard Bryan said Taylor Gabriel. So he answered the question who he was, and then he goes no.
Okay.
So I thought
Well,
that was humorous.
here's my problem with him. Okay, isn't Taylor Gabriel just basically Marquise Goodwin all over again?
Good
Marquise.
point.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. He's
um,
even a worse. I think we had Ken
a
Taylor.
lot
What do
more
you
uh versed in he's got some history with Shanahan. So he had his best year under Shanahan. But the thing is, you're already paying Goodwin what roughly $5 million a year. Are you going what's the point in getting rid of Goodwin and getting Gabriel? I mean,
Yep.
and once
Yeah.
again, another guy that I'm not sure
We'll make
that
the team.
he could make the team.
No, very, very, very valid point on that, Nate. You're absolutely right. I know Kyle Shanahan tends to not. I mean, this guy when he falls in love with players, he falls in love with players, man. And
Yeah.
I know he was pursuing the tight end from Atlanta.
Oh my God! If he would have got him,
That was now. See, that was a good view, but he went with the Browns.
yeah, and he kind of got priced out of our league.
Yeah,
But that would have
but see,
him and Kittle together. I was licking my chops at the
yeah,
idea.
but see how Kyle Shanahan and Kyle and John Lynch, they're trying to do things to better the team. It just some ships don't fall your way. I mean, like you said, if he would have came to us, compare him to Kittle would have been great. But unfortunately, the money called out his name, and respectfully, he's right to do and go to Cleveland. I don't know why he wants to go to Cleveland, but the money calls it in. Now, with that said, and don't crucify me with this, Nate. I'm just proposing the question. What about bringing Walker back, Denardi Walker back for a year?
Laney Walker.
At what cost?
Minimum.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not totally opposed to it, but Delaney Walker's had a lot of injury issues as of late.
Well, that's the reason why he was cut from the Texans. Well, the Texans did a lot of cutting though, because not the Texans, the Titans.
Yeah, Titans. Yeah, we won't talk about the Texans.
Those are their coach O'Brien.
Oh yeah.
He's the West Coast, man.
Hey, is there some kind of love affair between them and the Cardinals?
Dude,
because you know what, we need to get in on that and make that a threesome. See if we can get some more players out of them.
Dude, talk about a stupid trade.
That's beautiful.
Anthony Hopkins.
Got rid of, Calais Campbell, Ontario Smith went there. Honey Badger went to the Texans from the Cardinals. Oh my gosh! No, you're right, Nate. There must be some kind of love affair going on between the little red birds and the little steers down there. I mean, my goodness.
For David Johnson, really? He's not even
David Johnson hasn't played a good season in about 3 or 4 years.
Exactly.
But
all they got was a second.
Like, you're gonna give up Hopkins, who's year after year solid, and you're gonna take David Johnson's contract from them, who hasn't played good in 3 or 4 years. That doesn't even make sense to me. And you had one of the best wide receivers in football.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's crazy.
Let's just remember who the GM down in Texas at Houston is now. Now, need I say more about that? Because the head coach is also the GM right now. So let's take a look at this. He
is killing that organization. But you know what? I mean, to get rid of Anthony Hopkins, arguably one of the best, if not the best receiver right now in the NFL, over to the Cardinals, which the Cardinals, man, they're no joke, man. They're quietly building up something back there.
They dumped that salary. Oh man, they dumped that running back salary too. Oh.
Yeah, they signed him to that Johnson to that big deal.
Receiver, and they dump a big salary from David Johnson to the
that's the salary they dumped. That's the one I'm talking about.
Did the Cardinals have Brian's daughter kidnapped, and they told me we got to make this deal, or she goes, or what's the logic behind it? But man,
I don't know.
Maybe a big contract, a lousy player, and they get arguably the best receiver in return for a second-round pick. Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
that is ludicrous, man. And now we're going to have to deal with him twice a year. Now, I think
what? I feel sorry for Hopkins, though, because you know what? The Cardinals still haven't proved to me that they're viable yet. I mean, yeah, they can be quietly picking up players, but they still the Cardinals, in my mind. I mean, yeah, but
they look pretty good last year.
They're the Cardinals that we have a lot of difficulty beating.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. I will say that.
And then you add Anthony Hopkins on top of that?
Yeah, we don't need DeAndre Hopkins in the way. That's
yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking at a couple of rough games next year too. Hopefully, we can win them both.
But you got to remember too, Cardinals is the franchise in our division that's known to they get something good, and then the next thing you know, something happens.
Offensive line is their issue, though.
Yep.
I don't know why they were chasing so hard after a wide receiver. Their O-line is atrocious.
Well, they're probably going to address that in the draft.
Their line is bad on both ends of the ball, really. I mean, if they didn't have Budda Baker and their other key guy on defense, I mean, they wouldn't even be called the defense, to be honest.
Yeah, and then Stephon Diggs went to the Seahawks.
No, he didn't.
No, he went to the Bills.
Yeah, I was going to say, no, he didn't. Man, they gave up a lot for him, too.
Yeah, didn't they?
Yeah.
That's crazy. They did give a lot for him. That's Diggs. I mean, don't get me wrong. Diggs is a good receiver, but
not that good.
Look what the Cardinals gave for Anthony Hopkins.
DeAndre Hopkins is
DeAndre, excuse me. I keep calling him
Yeah,
Anthony.
yeah, he's a little older.
Yeah, but it's still better.
Yeah, true.
So age don't really, tell me if you had to pick one of those two receivers to play on your team, who would you take?
Oh, I want Hopkins just
Hopkins.
because I
Yeah.
have a certain criteria that you have to meet off the field, which right now that boy that just went to Buffalo does not meet for me. He can't be on my team.
No.
No.
Yeah, Shannon don't like players like that. He's
Yeah.
too much of a crybaby.
Yeah.
I think he's Terrell Owens 2.0. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but you know where
I don't
where
know
I'm
if
going.
he's that far, but he's just not. He's not.
No, I would have taken Adam Thielen if that was a trade. I would have taken him.
Okay.
I think he's right there in the OBJ category that he would disrupt the locker room instead of improve it.
I don't know if he's on that level, but yeah, along those lines.
Yeah. So
I just put it as he would disrupt the locker room instead of making it better.
yes,
And
yes,
we don't need that. We don't need that.
We don't need crybabies. We don't need a self-centered. What about me? If you remember, through the whole year of the locker room, whenever a player didn't do good, there was no finger pointing. It was all about, you know what, he had a bad day, or we're going to be better. But there was no finger pointing. It's all about if we're a team, like us three right now, we're a team. If Nate does bad, we all do bad. If I do bad, we all do bad. If we do good, we all do good. And I like that perspective from the Niners locker room, especially all the craziness talk about Jimmy Garoppolo. You heard every player that mentioned Jimmy always stood up for him.
Yeah.
Never made a comment negatively. Even you get someone like Emmanuel Sanders that comes in and says, "Man, this locker room is great for what he saw firsthand." And not only that, but you get Navarro Bowman talking in the Super Bowl where the locker room back when he was at with Patrick Willis and all those guys, that was a great locker room too. But even Navarro Bowman says we were not even close as the guys that are right now.
Oh, of course not. I can tell you why. Crabtree.
Exactly.
Alden Smith.
Yeah.
Come on. There's a few others, but I'll stop there.
Yeah. And who do we have now that you can? We don't have no Crabtree on the team. We don't have no Alden Smith on the team.
Mm-mm.
And that's beautiful. Everybody, they're all humble.
Chris Culliver.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Making that remark in the Super Bowl. Yeah, that was.
Come on, man. Yeah, we don't have guys doing that kind of crap.
We don't have Rodney Moss either. Remember, Rodney Moss was on the team, unfortunately, for 1 year.
He was on that Super Bowl team, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. But we don't have that. So we don't have that type of roster. Our roster is great. So as we're winding down our show, for all the fans that are watching now or are going to watch later in a review of this video, just keep in mind, again, the DeForest Buckner, I know a lot of Niner fans are upset about the whole situation, and you have right to feel the way you feel because you're a Niner fan, and that's a player that you covenant and you love. And we all loved him. And I still love him as a player, and I wish him the best. But you need to understand, man, it was a business move that had to be made based on the situation at hand. And I believe the Niners did the best they could to get something back in return for a player they knew they were going to lose anyway next year. So you guys got to keep that in perspective. I know a lot of you guys, it's not as easy as why did we keep Buckner and got rid of Armstead? It's not that simple. You gotta look at it at the cost and the price and everything. It's just not as simple as picking one over the other.
What was the numbers? 85 million or 105 million? I think that was the difference.
Yeah,
Big time.
19, 20 million a difference, and
yeah,
that's a little bit of credible viability. So and that's what Nate is always saying, that viability, that value. Got to look at it from that aspect.
The signing bonus too is completely different.
Different worlds.
Yes, you got to look at that as well. You got to look at the whole picture.
Only like 17 and a half, something like that.
Exactly.
Buckner's was like 30, 36, 30. It was something. It was up there.
Yeah, almost double. Yeah, so we got to look at those perspectives. You can't just look at the individual. Now, is Buckner a better player? Yes.
Yeah. But
nobody's arguing. Nobody's arguing that.
I come down to, is he a difference maker?
Exactly.
I don't see him as that.
No,
I think there's only two defensive tackles in all of football that I would consider.
Aaron Donald.
That's one. And on a lesser level, Fletcher Cox.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just
Outside of those two, I can't justify paying 20 plus million for the
you know,
guy.
like I mentioned earlier, DeForest Buckner is an elite player, but not a game changer.
No.
He's not a game changer like Kittle is. Kittle is a game changer.
Yeah. Bosa is a game changer.
Bosa is going to be a game
Exactly.
changer. Exactly.
Yeah. He's already a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah. So
You know,
you
all
know,
you got
Makes
to
you
do is
change
stay
your
healthy.
way of how you do. That's what
yeah,
you want. You want guys that make it forces that other team to change the way they do things because they have to address that one particular player. And
see
we got a good bunch of them right now.
what people don't realize too, and with this is that if we would have signed, we let it go of Armstead, we would have signed DeForest Buckner for what he wanted, and then we would have to sign Kittle, but then down the line somehow we lose Nick Bosa because we
Ouch.
can't afford him. Then
That
you're gonna
hurt
be,
right there.
then players will be Niner fans will be bitching about we lost. Yeah, I'd rather let go of Buckner now and tie up George Kittle and then and Nick Bosa down the line.
Sure.
And those are the things that people gotta think about in the long future. You can't think about it now, in the moment. You got to think about what's ahead. And I rather Bosa. I mean, look what he did in 1 year. Imagine what he's going to do year 2, year 3. His upside is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Remember, Buckner didn't have that good of a year when he first came in. Neither. Okay, we're not going to talk about Armstead about that, but
Buckner
look,
was pretty solid from words say go.
not like Nick Bosa though.
No, he's not on that level. He just
Yeah,
isn't.
yeah. So obviously, if you had to pick two players over Bosa, they would definitely be Kittle and Bosa. I mean, Buckner.
Yeah,
So
I know what you meant.
people need to understand that, get a grip. He's gone. Yes, it's going to suck. Yes, is the defense going to feel it to some extent? Okay,
Maybe.
but we have
Maybe.
3 top pass rushers. And again, I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, Nate and Kimo, but pass rushers are harder to come by than defensive tackles.
Sure.
And it's harder to find guys that can make the defense better, even if it means, you don't rush as much as you did the year before. So that's the kind of guys you got to get. And then also, don't forget who's our defensive coordinator. So I'm sure they will figure out something. Definitely, it's going to be a little bit tough, but they're going to figure it out.
I think J.J. Jones can go as long as he stays healthy. I really believe J.J. Jones can go in there and certify that position.
I think it's going to be by committee, Benno. I think there's going to be multiple people that take that role on.
Between him, Sheldon Day, Ronald Blair.
Yeah, you got a number of them. So I'm not really concerned with it. They don't have to be Buckner. They just have to do the job and do it well. They don't have to do it to his level. They just have to do it well.
Yeah, and people tell me that that he was double teamed. Buckner was double teamed a lot this year. He was. But doesn't Aaron Donald get double teamed a lot too?
Well, that's not. We're not
but
trying.
Aaron Donald changes the scheme of how the offensive line plays.
Aaron Donald. He's not Aaron Donald.
No, but some people think he is. Well, and he's getting paid like Aaron Donald.
They're dreaming. Yeah, he absolutely is. He's only making $1 million less than Aaron Donald a year.
And that's ludicrous. I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't hate me because I'm saying this, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay DeForest Buckner, Aaron Donald money. I would give that for Aaron Donald.
No.
You know what I mean? So people need to take things into perspective and kind of calm down. And listen, guys, also, D4 is going to have a better year with us in 2020 than he did in 2019. Just watch.
If he gets that surgery,
he'll get it done. He'll get it.
But
he's scared of surgeries. I think that's what I heard.
Yeah, he you know what? This is 2 years in a row that he didn't get it because
he doesn't like to go under anesthesia. That's what I heard.
The year that he was in Kansas City, the last year, he had the same issue, and he didn't get the surgery.
No, because he doesn't like to go underneath the knife. He doesn't want to go under. He's afraid.
But here's the thing: let him have another one of those kinds of years where he's limited because of it, and all of a sudden, after the 2 years are done on his deal, he becomes expendable and cap-friendly expendable.
Yep.
So all
It's
you have
for
to do is mess around and find somebody else that can handle that edge. And who knows? It could come in the draft. It could come from anywhere. You never know. And
real quick, Nate. Just because we're on that topic, and we'll call it a night with this.
Mhm.
For those that said, and I heard someone, I'm going to mention names. None of us here, but just fans. That mentioned that trading for D Ford was a mistake.
absolutely not.
Thank you. You seen what if you watch the defense play when he has when he's on the inside the game, when you watch the games that he plays in and see the difference he makes, and that's being limited. How
It's
can that be a mistake? I would do it all over. People say that if we can trade for him all over again this year, would we do it? I
mayhem,
would say yes.
straight mayhem when he's in there.
Yeah,
You put
yeah.
him and Quan in there, yeah. They set the pace of how that defense is going to attack you.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, what was the statement? I don't remember if it was Shanahan or Saleh. One of them said he unlocks the pass rush.
He does. He sets it up very well.
You know,
He's the one that it's like I said, I call this defense a tidal wave defense, where you got one wave coming one direction and they're coming in all sorts of directions. But you got to have an epicenter of where this all starts, and I think D Ford is that epicenter.
yeah. D Ford basically spreads out the offensive line. That's what he
Exactly.
does. So there's more lanes to rush into. And
Yeah.
that's what he means by unlocks the pass rush because
Yes.
Exactly.
he widens them out.
Like Justin Smith used to do.
Well, no, Justin Smith did a whole different thing. Justin
Well, he used
Smith
to
would
grab a lot.
I
hold two
think
guys
Cowboy
so
was
that
no
the other guy
nonsense.
would
What
get
you
in.
saw, what you got.
Yeah, he
That's
grabbed, but
Justin
you
Smith.
know the point. He opened up now. With that said, though, having Nick Bosa, he is capable of freeing himself. He is fast enough to get around. Now it was easier with Buckner, absolutely, but I still give enough credit for Bosa that he will still penetrate, even with the absence of a DeForest Buckner. Maybe not as freely as fun as he would like it to, but he's no Alden Smith. I think he's better than Alden Smith. Alden
Well,
Smith. Everybody
he's
give Alden
in
Smith
some
credit,
in some respects. This is the
but
thing. Alden Smith was a freak. I mean, for the little bit of time before he let his off the field stuff get the best of him, it was like there was not really too much better in the business at getting to the quarterback because he was disruptive all the time. When he didn't have some injury nagging him or something that was getting the best of him, he was a force.
remember when Justin Smith wasn't in the lineup,
When
he
he was
wasn't as
hurt,
fun.
that's what you got to remember. He was hurt then too.
Okay, well now with that said, he is reinstating. Would you bring him back for a
Come
year?
on, hey, he's not the
Multi-million
kind
dollar
of player
talent
I
with a
want on
five
my
set
team at
head.
all. I don't care how good he is. No.
Okay, I just wanted to
He'd
make
be
sure it's
too
clear.
disruptive in the locker room. I just think he would be too disruptive.
He
I mean,
wasn't
he's
a
a
bad kid. He wasn't a bad kid coming out of where did he come from? I forgot. The non-alcoholic
Missouri?
Missouri.
Yeah.
Kaepernick screwed him up, man. Finding your lady in another man's bed, or finding
Yeah.
another man in your woman's bed. It's
Yeah, you need to put your thick skin on there, Alden. That's thin skin.
okay. Sometimes it's easier said than done, buddy. Come on.
Yeah, come
yeah,
on.
true about
If
that.
you're married, to have a woman, it's easier said than done.
Okay.
And that's where you got to have a good head on your shoulders, and you got to
Yeah,
hope
but he was
that
young though. Alan Smith was young. I'm not making excuses for him. You're right. You still have to make right decisions. Go and kill somebody or whatever. But I mean, I don't know. That's a trauma, and unfortunately, he led to drinking. But it is what it. He's gone. We have 3 pack. And we'll close it with this, guys. But aren't we right now spoiled with the pass rush that we have that we haven't had in the last few years? That we lose one guy and we think everything's going to fall apart.
Yeah, I think there's some panic. I think we'll be fine though.
yeah. And I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised with Nick Bosa. Even though they were moving him around a little bit, I won't be surprised if they move him even more. So I think there's going to be a lot more different looks from him in particular. Not saying that it's going
Well,
to do something bad to him, but I just think they might versatilize him even more than he already is.
Yeah, they'd love to put and some of them passing situations. They love to put him and D Ford right next to each other. Um,
Oh, that could be something really.
yeah,
Oh,
they
wow.
they did that quite a bit when they were in the game. They would do it. So, oh man, what is
Let,
it
let,
Shane's talking about? Shane's bringing up Joey Bosa. Put that out of your mind.
yes, let's answer this question fairly for Shane. Thank you for coming, Shane, and commenting on the live and the Niner Sickness podcast. We appreciate you, appreciate everybody in here. But I'm going to give my perspective, and you guys can, and we'll definitely call it a night. Joey Bosa, the reason why we got rid of Buckner, because Buckner was going to cost too much for us to be able to sign someone like Kittle and later on Nick Bosa. If we bring in Joey, which you might add is worth more than a D tackle, a pure pass rusher, and if you bring him in at his prime, he's going to demand what, 20, 21, 22 million a year?
Probably. Yeah. Now,
However, then what's the reason? Why do we even bother getting rid of Bosa?
hold on now. This is the one scenario I want to bring up as food for thought.
Okay.
All right. Remember how we just talked about D Ford and how after next season his contract is pretty much cut friendly?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's say that both these boys want to play together so bad that they're willing to play for approximately 17 to 18 million dollars a pop.
I like where you're going.
And you got Ford's contract out of the way. I want to say that Ford's got a pro rate of 4.5 for those 2 years, and that's it. After that, because of his signing bonus, and he's out of the way. Well, it might be doable at that point, but you have to have him out of the way for it to even be a discussion.
That wouldn't be a bad upgrade. Letting go of D Ford,
Yeah.
especially if he doesn't do great, considering bringing Joey to
And
play.
and here's the flip to that too. If he does well, maybe he's tradable. So I'm
I
not going
like
to
that.
leave it out, but you know what? With D Ford on that squad, it's not happening.
Yeah. So what? Yeah, D Ford would have to definitely would have to go.
Yeah.
We know it's not going to be Eric Armstead. He's already signed.
Yeah.
We know it's not going to be Nick Bosa as a rookie, playing a rookie contract.
Eric Armstead for 3 years is going nowhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To get out of what they paid for him. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
They're going to get as much as they can out of him.
the only one left is D Ford.
Yeah.
So you make a very good point. If D Ford doesn't do good, if he doesn't have the surgery, he's not to par after 2021. Maybe we can consider the thoughts. Maybe the possibility of Bosa. Now Bosa would have to not demand a ridiculous contract if he really wants to play with his
He would
brother.
have to play on a below
What he's
his
worth.
market value.
Yep.
He would
Yep.
really have to want to play with his brother bad.
Now I don't know how many of you have brothers. I do. As much as I want to play with my brother, but if money is offered to me, where I'm secure, because you got to remember, like Kimo said earlier, big contracts only comes maybe once or twice in a career.
Sure.
Okay, in a career, because you can get hurt, things can happen. So when you have an opportunity to get a big payday, you take it.
And with this new collective bargaining agreement,
Oh,
they so screwed themselves, man. I mean, did you see what they did with these guys? Because you know that the average NFL career is like 3 years,
yep.
and
Yep.
what they used to have for players that got hurt, on the field and were disabled from playing football, you made $250K a year, which you can live on that. That has now been changed with the new collective bargaining agreement to $48K a year.
Wow,
You know
that's crazy.
that,
Yeah, they really
like,
shot themselves in
those
the
of
mouth.
us in California know that's rough.
For Californians, yeah. Hey, real quick, refresh my memory, 'cause I haven't really been following on this closely. So, are we going more than 17 games
No, we're going 17.
or
17.
17?
Yeah,
So we have no, but with the bye, so it's 18 weeks with the bye, right?
it's 18 weeks. Yeah,
And
Okay,
then
so
they add another playoff team.
and they did add an extra playoff for two teams. Okay.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure that was clear on that. I did not follow really closely. So now we're having 18 weeks with a bye, and we're having extra plays. So initially it's going to be 19 weeks. Well, not 19. No, that doesn't make sense. Sorry, take it back because we're talking about the playoff. No, 18 with the bye and an additional playoff for two teams. Same amount of playoffs, which is
Only thing is that now your two
more
seed
teams
has to
are going to
play
be
a
in it.
wild card week.
Two more teams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
So we went from what 12 to 16, 14
12 to 14.
14.
teams that
Yeah.
are going to make it in. So someone like the Rams last year and the Steelers probably would have made it in.
Yeah, and the those are the two that would have made it. That's right.
Right? Okay. Okay. So
And they
just
would have both had to match up with two seeds.
two seeds.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what. Okay. So okay. Good. I kind of thought that's what it was, but I wasn't sure. Since I have you guys, I figured I'll ask now and be clear on it. Okay. So that passed, and it was close, by the way.
Oh,
Talk
and
about close.
and they didn't do what I was hoping they would do: get rid of practice games altogether.
Oh no, they're never going to do that.
They took
Too much money involved.
They took away one though. They're down to 3 now.
3 what?
Preseason games.
Seasons.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
So it's no longer 4.
It needs to be 0.
No.
Especially since a lot of teams they do inter scrimmages too. So I thought they should have.
That's good enough right there, man.
So the Hall of Fame game. So the person that plays in the Hall of Fame, they'll play 4 instead of 5.
Yep, that
Right?
means Dallas and Pittsburgh will be playing an extra preseason game.
Okay, so that'll be. Well, it's still better. I mean, I hear what you're saying. There should at least be just 2, if anything.
0.
I know none for you, Nate, but at least 2. But wow. Well, I would think that they remove. Well, if they remove a minimal game in preseason and added a regular week, that's not bad then.
Yeah, well, so what they're probably going to do is start the NFL season a week earlier so that they can
Not with this virus.
deal with that game so that the Super Bowl still falls on the first Sunday in February. That's what I'm guessing they're going to do.
So they're going to start.
They'll increase those inter squad scrimmages too now.
They'll probably start late August.
Yeah, they'll probably push it a week sooner. Hopefully that's what they do, so they don't change the time of the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Anyway, with that said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. You guys are amazing. Everybody that watched and participated in tonight's show, thank you for watching. Thank you for commentating. Remember to follow us on YouTube. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and also the notification bell so that you will be notified for any future lives that we do. Here we bring you nothing but the raw truth, our opinionated thoughts on our team, whether you agree or disagree with us. We tell you the way it is for our team. None of that mumbo jumbo stuff you hear from the other guys and on those weak ass channels that they come on, First Take and so forth. And Kimo, thank you for coming on on here tonight. You did great, man. Appreciate you, man. And
Thanks.
if you feel like there's something you want to do, let us know, and we'll definitely like to bring you back on, brother.
Oh, thank you. It was a complete honor.
Definitely great having you, Kimo.
Oh, I love that I had a chance. I got to tell you, Nate, I was pushing for the guy, that lineman that you were talking about,
Yeah,
that you'd like to get.
Tags.
Yeah, darn. I know. I kept pushing. Maybe they can trade Goodwin and trade Solomon Thomas and
We
get
don't
him.
need him that bad. No. We can go ahead and look toward the draft to see if we can upgrade that spot. We don't need to turn around. Plus, you know what? We don't need them Boston guys anyway.
Yeah. Who needs Boston? That's right. Who needs Boston? The hell with those Boston guys.
As we say goodnight, let's all agree on Boston
sucks.
All right, guys. So that's it. It was great. Thank you for watching the Niner Sickness Podcast Show. Until the next time, good night and God bless.
Good night.
Good night. Bang, bang, Niner.